It was a sunny day in Tanjiro's region of Japan. Tanjiro had just retrieved a straw basket, bamboo, and other materials from the townsfolk. Tanjiro planned on creating a hybrid straw backpack, which he could carry during travel. He planned on Nezuko staying in the straw basket backpack during the day. Tanjiro remembered the mysterious man, Giyu. Giyu gave advice of never exposing Nezuko to the sunlight. The past few days had been crazy. Tanjiro had lost his entire family. Nezuko had turned into a demon, and he literally fought for her life. Tanjiro had no time to think as he constructed the straw backpack in front of a small cave. Sweat dripped down his head as he tied the backpack together in the heat. He loosened his focus from work for a second and looked into the cave. Nezuko. There was no answer. Nezuko. Tanjiro grew slightly worried. He had gone to town to retrieve materials, but hadn't had a chance to check on Nezuko, who was in the dark cave in order to avoid the sunlight. Gradually, a head emerged from a hole in the ground. It was Nezuko. Tanjiro sighed in relief. Nezuko's long black hair was obscured in the darkness. All that showed was a reflection of her big, doughy eyes. Tanjiro entered the cave with his recently completed straw backpack. He approached Nezuko. Nezuko, I created this backpack so you can go inside, and we can travel in the daylight. Try going in, Tanjiro said. Nezuko looked at Tanjiro, then at the straw backpack. She slowly crawled into the backpack, but only managed to fit her head inside. Tanjiro gleamed in. Then his eyes brightened. Nezuko, remember when you grew bigger last time? Do you think you can do the opposite? Smaller. Smaller, Nezuko, Tanjiro repeated. In response, Nezuko jumped into the backpack once again. At first, only her shoulders fit in, but gradually, she disappeared into the straw concoction. She rose again, but this time, her entire body was inside the backpack. She had managed to decrease her size. That's a good girl, Nezuko. I'm impressed. With that, Tanjiro, with Nezuko in the straw backpack, set off. He would have to cross a mountain in order to get to Mount Sagiri, so he made sure to pack a rice ball with him. Plus, it was sunset and would become dark soon. Before he could head up the mountain, he ran into a townswoman with her son. When discovering that Tanjiro would cross the mountain at night, she warned him, "Be careful. People have been disappearing lately." Tanjiro, with gratitude, looked back and waved at the woman and her infant. Demon. Night had come, and the sun had settled in. Nezuko was now walking alongside Tanjiro. The sun wasn't around anymore, so she didn't have to seek shelter in the straw backpack. Owls whispered sirens through the path. Tanjiro looked to his right and noticed a path up a hill. He then saw a contained light. It was a temple. Nezuko, look. There's a light coming from within the temple. So there must be somebody there. Nezuko looked at Tanjiro. The two proceeded towards the structure. Let's check it out, Tanjiro concluded. The night stream entered Tanjiro's nose, and his eyes grew alert. "I smell blood," Tanjiro exclaimed. Tanjiro ran up the wooden steps to the temple. The mountain terrain was rugged and dangerous. He thought someone had gotten hurt and sought shelter in the temple. At the same time, although Tanjiro hadn't noticed, Nezuko's eyes lit up. Tanjiro approached the stone brick path to the inside of the temple. A dim light radiated from within the screen door. Tanjiro burst open the sliding doors, which had ripped holes in the paper screens. "Are you okay?" Tanjiro exclaimed. Fear permeated Tanjiro's eyes as he witnessed the view in front of him. Gurgle, 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 gurgle. The inside of the room was dark. There kneeled a human-like figure. His back was turned to Tanjiro. Gurgle, gurgle. The man looked muscular and seemed to be feasting on something. Right below him was a human body on the ground. The man was eating him. A similar bath of red blood was in the corner of the room. Behind the dead human was another deceased individual. Both of them had died there. A few seconds had passed. Only the man's gurgling, eating sounds could be heard. Suddenly, a young, affirmative voice spoke out. "What the hell? This is my turf. If you break into my territory, I'll make you pay." The man slightly turned his head, and Tanjiro noticed his features. The man's skin was pale white, and the muscles around his forehead were so strained that veins were bulging out from all over. His teeth were more like fangs. "Man-eating demon," Tanjiro exclaimed. Nezuko had stood behind Tanjiro, and her eyes looked just as surprised. However, a difference was that she began drooling as if a hunger had overtaken her. "Eh?" the demon stated. "You have a weird vibe about you. Are you both humans?" The man finally turned around to face Tanjiro and Nezuko. As he stood tall, Tanjiro noticed he was a good head or two taller than he was, with a muscular body. Without warning, the demon lunged at Tanjiro with superhuman speed. He speared Tanjiro outside the temple. Reflexively, Tanjiro sliced at the demon's neck with his hatchet. He had cut him. The demon flew back. The demon chuckled. "Not bad. This injury should heal in no time, though." Then, the blood that poured out the demon's neck suddenly stopped. The wound had healed itself. Tanjiro looked shocked. Meanwhile, Nezuko still stood inside the temple. She was drooling more than ever, while longingly staring at the dead human bodies. Again, without warning, the demon dashed to Tanjiro. It was more like he teleported to him. The demon grabbed at Tanjiro's neck from atop. "So fast, and he's unbelievably strong," Tanjiro thought. "You won't get me twice," the demon snickered. "Now, I'm gonna snap your neck." "Ah!" Tanjiro gasped in pain and struggled while the demon pressed him down. Tanjiro tried to fight him off, to no avail. Then, out of nowhere, the demon's head flew off of his body. the head shot like a bullet towards a tree. Tanjiro, surprised, looked to his left. Then, up at the headless body. He pushed the headless body off of him. When he looked to his right, he saw Nezuko standing there. She had kicked the demon's head, and the force of her kick decapitated and catapulted his head. Tanjiro still looked at her, shocked that she had been able to kill the demon. Wait, but he's a demon, so... Behind Tanjiro, the decapitated body tried to reach him. Once more, Nezuko soccer kicked the body, making it hurl across the ground. It went flying and hit a tree stump. Did he just move without his head? I can't believe this is happening, Tanjiro flurried. Suddenly, from across Tanjiro, a voice flashed out. You bastard! One of you is a demon after all. I thought something was weird. Tanjiro looked closely. It was the demon's head. The demon's decapitated head was still talking, infuriated at Tanjiro and Nezuko. Why is a human and a demon teaming up? The demon asked. He's talking, Tanjiro exclaimed to himself. Suddenly, the headless body sprinted at Nezuko and she fought him off. Simultaneously, the demon's head suddenly lunged at Tanjiro, of which Tanjiro stopped with his hatchet. He had put his hatchet into the demon's mouth. How'd he get here? Tanjiro exclaimed. He looked closer and realized that the demon's head itself had grown muscular arms. Tanjiro fought off the demon head while looking back. He saw that Nezuko had been kicked to the ground by the headless demon. The body continued to hurt Nezuko. Then, unbelievably, the headless body picked Nezuko up and chucked her across the forest. Nezuko! Tanjiro yelled. Tanjiro looked back at the demon head, who was barely stopping with his hatchet in the mouth. The demon was looking at Tanjiro, then slyly smiled. What's with this guy? Tanjiro asked. Really, anyone would have said the same thing. I gotta save Nezuko. Out of my way! Tanjiro yelled as he thrust his head straight into the demon's forehead. The demon's eyes turned in pain, and the head lost its grasp on Tanjiro. Shit, this kid's head is hard as a rock, the demon stated. Tanjiro headbutted him once more. Then he grabbed his hatchet, of which the demon's long hair was entangled within its handle. Tanjiro hurled the hatchet straight at a tree. The throw created a rotation, which thrust the demon's head smack dab on the tree. The hatchet buried itself in the wood, with the demon's head trapped in between. Yes, Tanjiro said as he ran to Nezuko. Shit, I wrapped my hair around his hatchet to grab him, but it backfired. Tanjiro ran, but could not spot Nezuko. Nezuko! He ran more as he was further surrounded by trees. From a distance, he could hear Nezuko's painful yelps. Tanjiro ran. He spotted Nezuko near a cliff, on the ground, as the headless body remained kicking her. Tanjiro sprinted towards the body and thrust into him like a spear. Both of them fell off the ledge. There was a running river down below. Falling meant certain death for Tanjiro. Tanjiro was horrified. However, from below, only the demon's body fell. Just before Tanjiro fell, Nezuko had grabbed him, her muscle and veins popping out of her arms. Right as the headless body fell on the ground below, the demon's painful shriek could be heard back near the temple. Tanjiro and Nezuko hurried back to the demon head. He had still been there, trapped. Tanjiro took out his knife as he approached the head. It had its eyes closed, seemingly unconscious. I wonder if there are many demons like this, he asked himself. This isn't the demon whose scent lingered at my house. That was a different demon. Either way, I have to finish off this demon, or he'll hurt other people. Tanjiro's breath grew heavier as the thought of him having to kill this demon enraptured his mind. I gotta do it. Sweat beads dropped down his face and neck. Right then, a firm hand reached out and grabbed Tanjiro's shoulder. Tanjiro slowly looked back. It was a figure with a red face. The face had a long, extended nose. Its features were like an oni, a demon. The figure wore a gray hood with blue robe. Tanjiro shook. You can't finish him off with that knife, the figure stated. A Tengu mask, Tanjiro thought. I didn't even hear footsteps or anything. Tanjiro turned and asked, how can I finish him off? Don't ask others, the Tengu mask echoed. Figure it out on your own. Use your head. Tanjiro thought, if stabbing the demon won't work, I'll have to crush him. Tanjiro scanned to find a medium-sized rock near him. Tanjiro retrieved the rock and returned back to the demon head. Tanjiro saw the unconscious demon head in front of him. To completely crush his head, I'll have to smash this rock on him multiple times. It'll be excruciatingly painful for him. Is there a way I can kill him with one blow? Tanjiro silently beseeched. Tanjiro looked down as he couldn't think of anything. Meanwhile, a few minutes had passed as the Tengu masked man calmly watched. The Tengu man thought to himself, this kid won't cut it. He's too kind, and thus indecisive. The man scanned further. He's facing a demon, yet I sense a sense of kindness remains within. He has empathy, even for a demon. Giyu. This kid isn't cut out for this. Then, the demon head twitched a little and opened its eyes. The demon's eyes splurged around, as if to scan his surroundings questioningly. Its expression looked pale and unsightly. The demon looked up and noticed Tanjiro. His short arms lunged out unsuccessfully at Tanjiro. You bastard! I'll kill you. I swear I'll devour you. Get over here. Ah! The demon continued in anger and frustration. I can't go to you, so you come to me, damn it. Tanjiro stood silently. Chirping could be heard in the background. The birds had started communicating. A warmth had started permeating the stone floor, the dirt, and the ubiquitous trees. As the warmth hit Tanjiro, he looked to his side. The sun was coming up. I faltered too long. Now the sun's coming up, Tanjiro exclaimed to himself. Meanwhile, the demon was still cursing at Tanjiro while flailing his arms. It was then, suddenly, the demon screamed in pain. Ah! Then, without a moment's notice, the demon put up its forearms against the sunlight. Suddenly, its pale skin turned black and incinerated, while flames popped up, just like when a piece of paper is set on fire. Then, the head disintegrated into nothing. The demon had burned itself away from the sunlight. Tanjiro gasped in horror. That's what happens with this little amount of sunlight? His face was in pain. He wasn't scared for the demon. He was scared for Nezuko. No wonder Nezuko shrank so much from the sun. Then, Tanjiro jumped up again. Nezuko! He couldn't let her be in the sunlight. Tanjiro looked, but Nezuko wasn't around anymore. Tanjiro then went to the first place he thought, the temple. He ran into the temple. Inside, Nezuko had already retreated into the straw backpack. She looked tired and worn out. Nezuko, Tanjiro stated in relief. Tanjiro, now relieved, wondered where the Tengu masked man was. He went back outside and found the man praying above a pile of dirt. It was a burial for the dead individuals who had been eaten by the demon. Tanjiro approached the Tengu man. The man stood with his back to Tanjiro. I am Sakonji Urokodaki. I assume you're the one that Tomioka Giyu sent my way. Yes, my name is Kamado Tanjiro. My sister is Nezuko, and... Tanjiro, the man interrupted. What will you do when your sister devours a human? Tanjiro stood without any answer. The Tengu man then approached Tanjiro and hit him across the face. Too slow, the Tengu man reprimanded. You're too indecisive. You failed to finish off that demon before daybreak. Do you know why you couldn't answer my question right away? It's because you have weak resolve. There are only two things you can do if you ever let your sister devour a human. First, kill your sister, then slit your own stomach and die. That's the price you pay for traveling with your sister who's a demon. However, that scenario must never happen, no matter what. You mustn't forget this. You understand? The Tengu man said. Yes, Tanjiro obediently replied. Well, in that case, I'm going to test you to see if you're fit to become a member of the Demon Slayer Corps. Carry your sister on your back and follow me, the Tengu man commanded. With that, the Tengu man immediately began running down the hill. Huh? Immediately? Tanjiro thought to himself. He didn't have question to time it further, as the Tengu man had already gotten down the hill. So, what choice did he have? Tanjiro grabbed Nezuko and rushed down. Welcome to Illumi Stories. If you enjoy, it would give me a lot of strength if you could like and subscribe.